Good evening, and welcome to Crossfire Discussions. Tonight, we are tackling a profound socio-economic question that sparks debate worldwide. Should the government be responsible for guaranteeing a job to every citizen? It's a topic with significant implications for our economy and society. Arguing in favor of this proposition is Dr. Ben Carter, a distinguished economist known for his work on social welfare policies. Challenging this perspective is Ms. Lena Petrova, a highly regarded policy analyst with extensive experience in labor market dynamics. We will begin with opening statements, followed by rebuttals, a moderated discussion, and finally, closing remarks from each of our speakers.
Thank you, Sarah. I firmly contend that a government job guarantee is not merely an aspirational economic policy. It is a fundamental cornerstone of a just and humane society. It offers a direct and practical pathway to eradicating involuntary unemployment, which is a blight on our collective conscience. This isn't just about providing an income, as crucial as that is. It's about restoring dignity, purpose, and a sense of belonging to individuals who are willing and able to work, but find themselves excluded from the labor market. Consider the transformative impact on our communities if every citizen had the opportunity to contribute meaningfully. We could harness this currently untapped human potential for a multitude of public benefits, enhancing our green infrastructure, improving care services for the elderly and children, or revitalizing neglected public spaces. Furthermore, a job guarantee program acts as a powerful automatic stabilizer for the economy. During economic downturns, it would expand to absorb job losses, maintaining aggregate demand and preventing deeper recessions. Conversely, during economic booms, the program would naturally contract as workers transition to private sector employment. This is not about creating artificial make-work jobs. It's about recognizing that there is always socially useful work to be done, and providing a mechanism to connect willing workers with these tasks. Such a program would also address critical skills gaps and provide invaluable work experience, especially for the long-term unemployed and young people entering the workforce, thereby enhancing overall productivity in the long run. It is an investment in our people, ensuring economic security and fostering social cohesion.
Thank you, Sarah. While the aspiration of achieving full employment and ensuring everyone's well-being is undoubtedly laudable, the proposed mechanism of a government job guarantee is, I believe, fraught with significant peril and practical impossibilities. The potential for negative unintended consequences far outweighs the purported benefits. Firstly, let's consider the sheer financial burden. Implementing and sustaining such a program would require an astronomical level of public expenditure. This would inevitably lead to either crippling tax hikes for individuals and businesses, unsustainable levels of public debt passed on to future generations, or dangerous inflationary pressures that erode everyone's purchasing power. Secondly, the challenge of creating genuinely productive jobs on such a massive scale is immense. There is a substantial risk of establishing a vast, inefficient bureaucracy tasked with designing, assigning, and monitoring these jobs. This could easily result in the misallocation of resources and labor, with people placed in roles that don't match their skills or contribute meaningfully to economic output. Furthermore, a large-scale government job program could, quote, crowd out private sector employment and investment. If the government becomes the employer of last resort, offering wages and benefits that private companies, especially small and medium-sized enterprises, cannot compete with, it could stifle entrepreneurship and the dynamism that drives genuine economic growth. We must also ask critical questions about how such a program would determine appropriate wages, what types of jobs would be offered, and how individuals would be placed without severely distorting the natural signals of the labor market. This could lead to a less efficient allocation of labor, hinder worker motivation, and ultimately reduce overall economic productivity. It is a path that, while well-intentioned, could lead to significant economic stagnation.
Ms. Petrova raises concerns about the financial burden, but I urge us to consider the substantial existing cost of unemployment. We currently spend vast sums on unemployment benefits, social assistance programs, and health care for issues exacerbated by joblessness. Add to that the lost tax revenue and reduced economic output, the GDP gap, and the net cost of a job guarantee program may be far lower than initially perceived, especially when we factor in the increased tax contributions from newly employed individuals. The argument about bureaucracy also warrants closer examination. A job guarantee program doesn't need to be a monolithic, centrally controlled entity. It can be designed with decentralized, community-led initiatives that identify local needs and create relevant jobs. This approach would foster local engagement and ensure that the work undertaken is genuinely valuable to the community it serves. Moreover, the claim that these jobs would be inherently unproductive overlooks the immense social value they can create. Investing in care, education, and environmental sustainability provides long-term returns that traditional economic models often fail to capture. These roles can also be crucial for skills development and social inclusion, helping individuals transition to private sector employment with enhanced capabilities and confidence. It's about shifting our perspective from viewing unemployment as an inevitable problem to seeing employment as a solvable one, with widespread benefits.
Dr. Carter's points about the existing costs of unemployment are valid, but it doesn't automatically follow that a job guarantee is the most efficient or effective solution. Targeted welfare programs, robust unemployment insurance coupled with active labor market policies like retraining and job search assistance could address these social costs more directly and with less risk of market distortion. We need to ensure we are not using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. The idea of decentralized, community-led initiatives sounds appealing in theory, but the practicalities of ensuring consistency, quality, and accountability across thousands of such local programs without significant oversight, and thus bureaucracy, are formidable. There's also the considerable risk of political manipulation, where job creation becomes a tool for patronage rather than a genuine response to economic need. Furthermore, while social value is important, we cannot ignore economic realities. If these guaranteed jobs do not produce goods or services that the market values, or if they are significantly less productive than private sector alternatives, the overall economy will suffer. This could lead to a decline in living standards, even if unemployment statistics look better on the surface. The crucial role of market signals in efficiently allocating labor cannot be overstated. A job guarantee program risks insulating a large segment of the workforce from these signals, potentially leading to skills mismatches and reducing the economy's overall dynamism and ability to adapt to changing global conditions.
Thank you both for those robust rebuttals. Dr. Carter, Ms. Petrova has raised concerns about the productivity of guaranteed jobs and potential market distortions. How would you ensure that the jobs created under a guarantee program are truly meaningful and contribute effectively to the economy, rather than being perceived as make-work positions? What specific mechanisms would prevent inefficiency and ensure genuine value creation?
That's a critical question, Sarah. Firstly, the jobs would be designed around clear community needs. Think of retrofitting buildings for energy efficiency, expanding childcare services, or restoring local ecosystems. These are not make-work, but essential tasks that are currently underprovided because the private market doesn't fully price their social value. Secondly, oversight could involve community boards, independent auditors, and transparent reporting to ensure projects meet quality standards and deliver tangible benefits. We could also incorporate training components within these jobs, directly enhancing the skills and future employability of participants, potentially leading to smoother transitions into the private sector. The focus is on public value and human capital development, not just employment numbers, ensuring a positive return on investment for society.
Ms. Petrova, you've argued for targeted solutions. Acknowledging the persistent issue of unemployment, particularly among certain demographics or regions where private sector growth may be slow to reach, what alternative large-scale solutions do you propose if not a job guarantee? How can we effectively address long-term unemployment and its societal impacts without direct job creation by the government?
Indeed, Sarah. Instead of a blanket job guarantee, I advocate for a multi-pronged approach that is more dynamic and less prone to inefficiency. This includes substantial investment in high-quality vocational training and reskilling programs tailored to future market demands, not just current needs, ensuring our workforce is adaptable. We should also enhance incentives for private companies to hire and train the long-term unemployed, perhaps through targeted wage subsidies or tax credits for a limited period, making it economically viable for them to invest in these individuals. Furthermore, fostering entrepreneurship through reduced red tape, mentorship programs, and better access to microcapital can create sustainable jobs from the ground up, driven by innovation. For those who genuinely cannot work, a strong and dignified social safety net is paramount, but that is distinct from a job guarantee which attempts to artificially manage the labor market.
A question for both of you. How would a job guarantee program, as envisioned by Dr. Carter, or the alternative strategies proposed by Ms. Petrova, affect worker mobility and the incentive for individuals to seek employment or develop new skills for the private sector? Is there a risk of creating dependency or complacency with either approach?
A well-designed job guarantee would set a wage floor, likely at a living wage, but it wouldn't necessarily be so attractive in terms of career progression or maximum earning potential as to deter people from seeking better paying or more specialized private sector jobs. The experience and skills gained in public service roles could, in fact, make individuals more attractive to private employers and act as a launchpad. The goal is to provide a safety net and a stepping stone, not a permanent alternative for those who can thrive elsewhere. It actively combats the despair and skill atrophy associated with long-term unemployment, which are far more demotivating and dependency-creating than a guaranteed opportunity to contribute.
My concern remains that if the guaranteed job offers a certain level of security and benefits, it could reduce the impetus for some individuals to undertake challenging retraining, pursue higher education, or relocate for dynamic private sector opportunities, especially if the guaranteed jobs are perceived as less demanding or offering fewer advancement prospects. This could lead to labor market rigidities and a less adaptable workforce. Targeted programs, on the other hand, are often time-bound and conditional, maintaining stronger incentives for individuals to actively engage in skill development and transition to self-sustaining private sector employment, which ultimately drives economic growth and innovation. Complacency is a real risk when the alternative to market participation is a readily available government job.
But we must also consider that the, quote, impetus Ms. Petrova speaks of often stems from a place of profound insecurity and desperation, which is not conducive to optimal decision-making or skill acquisition. A job guarantee provides a stable platform from which people can thoughtfully plan their careers and pursue further opportunities, rather than being forced to take any low-quality job out of sheer necessity. This empowers workers to make better choices, not fosters complacency.
Empowerment, Dr. Carter, should ideally come from acquiring skills that are highly valued by the market, leading to genuine choice, negotiation power, and higher earning potential. The market, with all its imperfections, provides a more dynamic and ultimately more rewarding form of empowerment for the majority, fostering innovation and responsiveness to societal needs that a centralized program might struggle to replicate effectively.
In conclusion, the proposition of a government job guarantee is rooted in a vision of a more equitable and humane economic system. It is an assertion that in a wealthy society, no one who is willing to work should be deprived of the opportunity to do so, nor should they be denied the dignity and economic security that comes with meaningful employment. The societal benefits, reduced poverty, improved public health, enhanced community well-being, and a more skilled and engaged citizenry are immense and far-reaching. This is not about choosing between government intervention and free markets. It's about recognizing that markets alone sometimes fail to provide for all, and that intelligent, compassionate public policy can create a foundation upon which both individuals and the broader economy can thrive. A job guarantee is an investment in our people, an investment in our communities, and an investment in a more stable and prosperous future for everyone. It is a practical step towards realizing our shared aspiration for a society that truly values every single one of its members.
To summarize my position, while the objectives underpinning the call for a job guarantee are commendable, the policy itself presents profound economic risks and practical challenges that we cannot afford to ignore. The potential for unsustainable costs, widespread inefficiencies, distortions to the labor market, and a dampening effect on private sector dynamism is simply too high. Such a sweeping program risks creating a larger, more intrusive state without necessarily delivering the sustainable economic prosperity we all desire. A more prudent and effective path lies in fostering a robust and adaptable free market economy, complemented by strategic investments in education, skills training, and targeted support systems for those most in need. We must focus on empowering individuals through opportunity and equipping them for the jobs of the future, rather than resorting to large-scale government employment schemes that may have significant unintended negative consequences. Let us champion solutions that are both compassionate and economically sound, ensuring long-term vitality rather than short-term fixes.
My sincere thanks to both Dr. Ben Carter and Ms. Lena Petrova for an exceptionally stimulating and insightful debate this evening. You've both articulated your positions with clarity and passion, highlighting the considerable complexities surrounding the issue of a government job guarantee. It is evident that there are strong, well-reasoned arguments on both sides, and no easy answers. That concludes our discussion for this edition of Crossfire Discussions. Thank you for joining us.